Hello, welcome back to another episode of Life. Life is a crazy journey, is it not? I think we all need YouTube shows. You know, I was just thinking this. The amazing thing about telling your story is that we all have a story to tell. It really is amazing. We each have our individual whole experience of life, and all of that is like our little book, our show, our story to tell. It's how we learn everything we are. It's it's what shapes who we are. As I've been sharing these stories over the past few weeks, it's been its own spiritual journey for me. It's been like walking through my past. So today, this part of my story that I want to share with you, I realized something. I left out an important part of my story. So I'm going to share it now. I'm going to fix the order so it makes sense for longevity purposes. So I had this transformational experience in New York where I started questioning myself and my faith. And then I land back in college. And this is the part that I didn't quite know how to share or how to tell, because the truth is I don't remember what happened. I'll tell you the parts I do remember. What I remember is that I got back and I was just in a really confused place, and that was kind of a dark place. But I also was inspired and I also was like excited, and I also had all these things opening up for me within my heart of these new possible dreams of moving to New York. Went through this period of really deep questioning, and I don't really remember what happened next. I don't remember going through it. I just know on the other side I came out of it. I was beginning my senior year of college. I made the choice that I was going to get baptized, like dunk baptized, because I never had been dunk baptized. I feel really weird. Those words sound funny together right now. Dunk baptized. Dunk baptized. My family's Presbyterian. My grandfather was a Presbyterian minister. I come from a Scottish lineage. You know, they're very Presbyterian. I'm proud of the Scottish thing. It's really fun. I was sprinkled. Like in the Presbyterian church, you get sprinkled as a baby, like on your little head. They present you and you get a little sprinkle and you're baptized and they say a prayer like that. And that is your baptism. And then later when you're a youth, like you go through this confirmation class where you can decide to be confirmed within the church. We got nice little Presbyterian cross necklaces. I probably still have it somewhere. This is another one of these theological things that were different between the Presbyterian church I grew up in and the more evangelical churches that I got involved in as a youth, and that were more the style of my college and people going there, which was this sort of more like you choose a relationship with Jesus, you're born again kind of thing. Like Jesus says, hey, do you want to invite me into your heart? And you say, yeah, I want to be born again. And then it's like, woo, you get into heaven. And so part of that would then also be getting baptized. So again, that was this like awkward part of my Christian journey where, you know, being involved in different evangelical style groups, there were those things that I didn't do. Well, I decided after this summer and after going through this really deep questioning that I was going to get baptized for myself. I was like, yes, I'm choosing God. I believe in the Bible and I believe in my faith, and these choices are coming from me. They aren't coming from me trying to fit in. So to anchor that, I decided to get baptized. Baptized in front of my family, my friends. Some of my friends from college came. That felt super vulnerable. I always felt a little actually scared to do these sort of more evangelical type of practices when my parents were like Presbyterians. But they were very supportive. They came, they supported me. They gave me a little cross for my birthday. It was really, really sweet. And I came out of it more clear and committing and choosing like, no, this is for me. I'm choosing my faith. I'm choosing the Bible. This isn't about fitting in. Like, I know what is true for myself. The other things that happened that year were also really important in my journey and kind of fun stories. So I'm just going to share that with you. So then I'm like, yay, I'm super Christian. And there's still this like, yeah, and I think I want to be an actress to move to New York, and that's like so duper scooper scary. So then over Christmas of my senior year, I go to visit my cousin Brulee again in New York City. And this time I'm like the pro, and I'm going to all the like ticket booth, the discount ticket booth, to get discount prices to Broadway shows and going to different Broadway shows every day. And it's just awesome and exciting. And one night I go to see Cat on a Hot Tin Roof with Ashley Judd. It was so cool because Ashley Judd's actually from Nashville, and there she is on the Broadway stage. After that, I go to meet my cousin Brooksy because she had been out that night to see one of her friends who's a musician. We were both in the theater district, so she said, come meet me after I'm at this restaurant. So I go to meet my cousin Brooksy, and she's in this restaurant that's like an Italian restaurant, but they're closed. But she's friends with the owners or something, so there's this one little table. Everything else is like closed for the night. You know, the chairs are up, the door's locked, but they let me in. I get to go sit at this table with Brooksy and these musicians. They're just like smoking and hanging out and laughing, and I actually could still remember pretty clearly. It was like Brooksy, this jazz musician friend of hers, this beautiful tall black woman who was just like incredible. She looked like a model, and she had this amazing jazz singing voice. Other woman there, I think a friend of Brooksy's from business or work or something. This guy there, I think of him as this Argentinian man. I can't remember what Spanish speaking country he's actually from, but he was a musician. And they're all at this table, and some of them are smoking and they've been drinking. I sit down with them, and Brooksy introduces me by telling really embarrassing stories about me, which she always does and she always will do, because that's the way she shows she loves me, by embarrassing me. So she was sharing about me showing up for spring break with my sweater on, asking, hey, do you think you could get me into a club? And she's like, you look 12 years old. No way, cannot get you in a club. Even though I was even already 18. They wouldn't have let me in anyhow, with my pigtails and my Gap rainbow sweater. So she's telling that story, and I'm being really embarrassed, but still just swept up in the magic of the experience. And so Brooksy's also telling them, oh yeah, she's gonna move to New York. And I'm going, I think so, I don't know, maybe. I think at that point I had devised this 5-year plan in my head, like, okay, I'll spend 5 years preparing to get to New York City. Like, I should probably do some community theater first to get some work on my resume. I need to save up my money, and then maybe at that point I'll finally be ready in 5 years. Brooksy would always laugh and say, you could be dead in 5 years. And then sitting by this Latin musician, he was talking to me as other people were talking and saying, like, so you think you'll move to New York City? And I'm saying, like, yeah, I think so. I don't know, but I think I want to. He's like, let me tell you, I have been all over the world to every major city, and New York City is the greatest city in the entire world. And then the restaurant owner, he brings out desserts for us to the table, a few for us to share. And he sits in front of me and the musician man, this creme brulee. And the musician asked me, have you ever had creme brulee before? And I say, no, I never had. And so he hands me this spoon. He's like, here, you've got to crack the creme brulee. And it's just such a magical moment, and I'm cracking the creme brulee and eating the creme brulee and surrounded by these incredible, interesting people in this closed restaurant and theater district. It's just super magical. I just love that story, so I had to tell you that. You would think that after that, it was just a done deal. I was like, yep, I'm moving to New York, it's done. But no, because this mind likes to work and doubt itself and run around in circles. I was still just kind of like, maybe, I don't know, that's really scary. Oh, should I, shouldn't I? This opportunity comes at this little church. Like, this is like a serious, like, little tiny mountain church where I forget what it's called. There's some sort of special word for whatever type of church it is. They're the ones who are like, what's it called? It's like the gifts of the Spirit. They're like super into gifts of the Spirit. People start speaking in tongues. As in, they're like starting to go, I mean, it sounds a lot like light language. If you're in any sort of new age thing, it's basically the same thing. They just start speaking in all these different tongues, these healings that happen, like people are like, you are healed, like that kind of thing. Like it's like pretty hardcore. I didn't spend a lot of time going to this church. My friend went to this church, and they had this Scottish prophet coming one night. Joe, the Scottish prophet. I was invited, and I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to see Joe, the Scottish prophet. So we go that night, and it's a beautiful night. We're singing all the songs, la 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 la. And then Joe, the Scottish prophet, comes out. He just starts going around, and he's getting these like these like words for people, these prophecies for people, and he's got his hand up, and it's like he just is moving around, and then he might come around and touch someone's head and say something. Oh, and he's saying something, and he's saying this prayer. So there's some sort of healing happening. There's words coming, and it's like these words from God. And it's pretty fucking amazing. Now, while it's happening, everyone, you're just like in prayer, and you're just singing, you're just waiting. We all have our different prayers we've been praying that night. So I have a particular prayer I've been praying that night, specifically related to, dear God, should I move to New York City? And so he's going around, and then what do you know? Joe the Scottish prophet comes right over to this forehead, and boom! Go now! Go! Go now! Don't wait till you're 77. And I'm just like, ah! It's just amazing. So any doubt I had about should I move to New York City, that pretty much sealed the deal. At the end of the service, I had to go say hi to Joe the Scottish prophet. And so I went over and I talked to him, and he was like, oh yeah, don't wait till you're 77. And he was laughing. And then he pointed to my shirt. My shirt had the number 77. And he pointed to it, and he was like, don't wait till you're 77. The greatest thing about don't wait until you're 77 is God's sense of humor. I was being teased for my 5-year plan, just like my cousin Brooksy was doing. God was teasing me. Just the humor of God is what touches me the deepest. It's like when someone knows you so well and they can tease you, and you really just feel seen. To be seen in who you are, to be seen in your faults, to be seen in your neuroses, just to be seen and loved in that, and accepted in that. What greater medicine is there than to be embraced and loved in the wholeness of all that we are? And that's the beauty of the divine, of God, is that we're seen. Every aspect of us is seen and known, especially those places we try to hide from the other humans. That to me is what grace is being seen in all of those parts, and loved and teased and known in it. Not despite of it, but with it. So I'd love to hear from you. If you have anything to share about anything, I don't know, did this story tickle anything in you or remind you of anything in your life? I'd love to hear it. It's amazing what sharing our stories does. It brings us together because we're all just here living our stories, being written, or they're writing us, or we're writing them together. It's kind of a co-writing process of our lives being written and living them. Isn't it magical? So thank you for coming on this journey with me. I would love for you to like it, comment, subscribe, share, bell ring, all those things, whatever you feel inspired to do. Would love to hear from you, and I'll see you later for whatever's next. Bye.